There are currently 4 different microphones that are recording my voice as I'm making this video, and yet you can only see one of them. So let's talk about them. No music, just ASMR. Before we begin, there's a couple of things we need to talk about. First, none of the microphones I'm about to show you are USB microphones, meaning you can't directly connect them to your PC. 2 of them are XLR microphones, meaning you need an audio interface in order to convert the audio signal from analog to digital, and you can plug that interface into your PC. The one interface I usually recommend to people if they're just beginning is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 or the Scarlett Solo. Those are around 100 euros or dollars, and they're the perfect way to get started with XLR microphones. And the other 2 microphones are special, and we're gonna talk about their connectors when we get to them. The second thing I need to mention is that while I will be describing a particular microphone, I will also display the name of the microphone on screen, and you will hear the audio of that microphone. Finally, I also need to point out that these microphones fall squarely into the middle price bracket. So at the end of this video, I will also make a couple of more budget-friendly alternatives to each of these mics. Hey, Editor Tomasz here. While reviewing the footage for this video, I realized I forgot to mention 3 things. First, this is not a sponsored video. Each and every microphone you're about to see, I purchased with my own money. Second, there is no post-processing, no noise reduction, no nothing, apart from the normalization of audio levels, so they appear to be of the same loudness. And third, the keen-eared among you will probably notice ever so slight traces of clipping on the XLR microphones here and there, and there's a good reason for that. I normally run them through a hardware compressor, which I built myself. By the way, if you want to see video on that, let me know in the comments below. However, in order to make this video, I plugged the mic directly into the interface, and I forgot to turn down the gain, so you will hear some clipping here and there, for which I apologize. Now, back to the video. The first one that I'm using, and you can actually see, is the Sennheiser MK4. This was my first microphone that I use mostly for teleconferencing, and I absolutely love how it's punching above its price point. I think it comes around $300 or so, but it's most often compared to some of the Neumann TLM class microphones, which I'll also link down below. Well, the downside of it is pretty obvious. It needs to be close to your mouth because this is a large diaphragm condenser microphone. The con of these microphones is that they're very sensitive, meaning you can hear each and every small tiny detail in them. However, it also means it will pick up more of the ambient noise or the room sound, if you will. So it needs to be close to the source. It's also not suitable for situations in which you have to either move around or sit up and stand down. You have to be pretty much in a somewhat fixed position the whole time for the microphone to perform its best. Now, the second microphone I'm going to talk about is the Neumann KM185 small condenser pencil microphone, and it's just out of frame about 30 centimeters from my mouth. Pencil condenser microphones, or short shotgun microphones as this Neumann is known as, are very directional. This one in particular is hypercardioid, which means it's very good at just picking my voice, and it's obviously pointed at my mouth, or my chin rather, and it's very good at rejecting the background or the ambient noise. Now, the alternative to this microphone that a lot of YouTubers use is the Sennheiser MK416. However, that microphone is twice the price and hardly any better when it comes to YouTube videos recorded in a small studio like this. Now, if I had to point one downside of this microphone, it's actually exactly the same as this one. So you have to be in a fixed position, because if you move around a lot, then the color or the tone of your voice will change. The third microphone you're currently hearing is the Sony ECM B1M, which is mounted directly on my Sony A7 IV camera. I absolutely love this microphone because it's a no fuss, no big deal plug and play mic. You just plug it onto your camera and start recording, and that's pretty much it. The only drawback, apart from its somewhat high price, is that you always have to be physically close to the camera in order for the microphone to pick up your voice properly. So if you're on the go often and you don't want to mess around with cables or batteries or bulky mics, this one is absolutely perfect. And finally, we come to the last microphone, the Sanken COS-11D, which is a lav mic, and it's currently taped onto my chest so you can't see it. This microphone comes with two benefits and a potential drawback. The first benefit being that it's easily concealable under your clothes, which is why it's used in movie production and broadcasting. And second, you can be as far away from the camera as you want. I'm currently standing about 10 meters or 30 feet away, and you can hear me just fine. And now the drawback. Because the person is wearing this microphone under their clothes, it means it has to be connected either to a transmitter, which can be very costly, or a pocket recorder, which can also be very costly. So there's additional cost of that. However, it's worth it because of the freedom it gives you. These are the 4 microphones I use for content production on YouTube and other business purposes. And I must admit, my personal favorite is the Neumann KM185. Why? Because it gives me the best sound that needs very little to none in post-production, and it's permanently attached to my ceiling just out of frame. So I can just literally sit down and record the video. And second, well, there is no second. The rest of them I like equally because they serve different purposes. Which one is your favorite? Please leave a comment down below. And now, as promised, I will make a couple of more budget-friendly recommendations. For the Mark IV, I would say that the next best thing is the Audio-Technica 802020. I will leave the link down in the description below. As for the on-camera and shotgun microphones, I actually have 2 recommendations. One would be the Sennheiser MK4, which can be battery powered and can also be plugged into the XLR into an audio interface. And second, cheaper option would be one of the Rode's VideoMic Go or VideoMic Pros, depending on your budget. Those will give you excellent results both on and off camera. And this brings us to the end of my microphones showcase. If you like this video, please click like. If you have any kind of questions, write them in the comments down below. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.